time. We're waiting for you to bring us in.
Welcome to Packmates, a podcast about Magic the Gathering Limited, where we take a deep dive in the current limited formats. The Packmates are a group of friendly card sharks that like hanging out, going to F&M, and getting them dubs. Today we're going to talk about Bloomburrow mechanics.
Hey.
I'm
Ryan, your resident aggro expert.
I'm Rob.
I'm Andrew, your resident mid-range expert.
Andrew, Ryan's gone for 1 week and we just fell apart.
I quit.
I'm Roby, the resident turtle expert.
And I'm Joel, the resident combo expert.
And
We are the
We're the
Packmates.
Packmates.
Don't forget to check out our socials, linked in the description. Join our Discord. We help you out with drafts, make cuts, play games if you want. Hang
talk
out.
about gardening.
Might have to add us, though. We're not always in there, but we're usually on. Like, if you see us on, just message us.
Yeah.
All right. This week, we're going to talk about the Bloomburrow mechanics, kind of our thoughts on them. Maybe dive deep into a couple of them. We'll see what happens.
So it's releasing in 2 weeks?
Yep.
Sorry,
Next week, we'll do our pre-release show talking about them. And this week, we'll do like a little intro. So, first one is Offspring. Offspring is a mechanic that's usually on dudes, on creatures. I think it's always on creatures, but I could be mistaken. The card that we see here is Tender Wild Guide. It's 1 and a green for a 2/2 Possum Druid. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color, or tap it to put on counter on itself. But it has Offspring for 2. And so if you pay 2 as you cast it, an additional 2 as you cast it, you get a 1/1 copy of that creature. So you could have 2 Tender Wild Guides for 4. One would be a 1/1, one would be a 2/2.
Hey, look, we have Kicker at home.
Yeah, man, kicker.
Kicker, that's just always amazing, right?
It's a pretty good effect.
Mm-hmm.
Having all of your creatures just have this extra modality where it's either a 2-drop or a bad 4-drop, essentially.
Yeah.
All right, is really good. And some of the rares with it look really pushed.
Yep. This one's a rare too. But just like being able to ramp on 2, like this card's good, right? Like ramp for any color on 2. Grow in the late game when you don't need a ramp. Like it's just doing something every turn. And then if you draw it later, like you just get twice the benefit.
Get like explosive vegetation. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I like cards like this. Like modal stuff.
I like that it's just a good mana sink. Like you're always trying to spend more mana and just be more efficient. Having 2 guys and always in limited, having 2 bodies on 1 creature is always just very, very strong to begin with.
Right.
Makes the removal worse.
And like limited cards that you can play on different turns is always just a high value, right? Like I can play this on 2 or I can play it on 4, and either way I'm being mana efficient.
It's a little bit like the MDFCs in that, right? Where it's either, a land or a spell when you have the extra mana, right? This is the same kind of thing. It's either like a cheap creature when you need the cheap creature, or it's like, more
2
expensive.
cheap creatures.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, almost like the flip creatures. There's like a billion different versions of this.
Yeah. The flip creatures that you could pay for later. What was that? The
morph, not morph. What is it called?
Disguise. But I'm talking about the multicolored guys that like were 1 color, and then you could pay like Phyrexian mana to flip them.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, from Mom.
I don't March of the Machines.
Yeah. These guys are a little bit different because like those guys were just 2 turns of play, right? Often, but this guy's like 1 turn. But yeah, just more cards that give you more decisions to make and
always
when
good.
To play is good.
Always good and limited, right?
Okay, so is that a set? Is it a set wide? Every color gets that, or is it just into a certain?
I think
color
it's a
wedge?
core mechanic.
That's a core mechanic.
It's
okay,
a core mechanic.
That's good.
From what I've seen, I'm pretty sure it's in every color.
Okay.
The one thing, it's these are token copies. They have all the abilities of the other card, so be careful when you're taking your tokens, right? You're going to have, if you don't have the actual token, because, there's a whole bunch of different creatures making token copies of themselves. It's going to be a little bit messy, I think, on the field.
Yeah.
When you're playing in paper.
It looks like there are some tokens specifically for these
there are.
creatures.
I'm just saying, I never have all the tokens I need.
never do either.
And when there's
upside down cards and random sleeves.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, do they have the same converted mana cost as that creature?
Token copies.
It's a copy,
now.
So it's a copy, so it has a converted mana cost of it. I know that's something that they've done recently.
But it's a 1/1. Wouldn't that make it different?
It's a 1/1, but I believe it's
a copy with a modified characteristic.
The token on it says this token's mana cost is 1 and a green.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
That's super.
That's like a new
I don't
change
like
they've done.
Yeah, they're starting to do that a little bit more, referencing real cards. Like we saw that in MH3 on I think it was Ral's. It was it's an enchantment, a saga. Or saga?
It creates a Spellgorger
Yeah,
weird
Spellgorger
token.
weird, yeah.
Yes.
And so
Which
it
has
actually
a converted
creates the
mana
card.
cost
Yeah,
of
exactly.
3. Yeah.
So you're destroy X creature or whatever with mana value, whatever or
I
less.
kind of
Changes
hate
that quite a bit.
I will say I did notice that these don't always cost 2. Also, like there's different costs involved. I saw one that costs 4 to make the offspring. So there might be some messing around with that too.
Yeah.
Can make it kind
Offspring
of
costs do vary. It's not just generically 2. There's one that has offspring for a single black, for
Huh.
instance. So they're not always generic mana. They're not always the same. It is very much a kicker effect where it varies card to card.
Yeah.
It's just that the kicker always gives you the same thing, a 1/1 copy.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah,
I like it.
I mean,
It's good.
seems like built for limited. Seems exactly like what you want to have in your decks. Like, also seems like we're making removal bad again. So
Sick.
When you kill their guy and it only kills half of the card, it's going to feel pretty bad.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And then when you gift them a fish on top of it,
Which leads us to our next mechanic. Ryan, why don't you tell us about gifting?
okay. Well, gifting is a thing that you should never do. Maybe not never.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't
true.
think that's
It's
true.
not true. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. So our next mechanic is gift. Some cards say like gift a card or gift a fish or gift a food. And you promise your opponent a thing. And if you do that, your card has an additional effect. So this one that is printed in the article is called Kidnap. It's 2 double blue for an enchantment aura. As gift a card, so you may promise an opponent a gift as you cast the spell. When you do, when it enters, they draw a card. Enchant creature. When it enters, tap enchanted creature. If the gift wasn't promised, put 3 stun counters on it. You control enchanted creature. So if you gift them the card, you get to use their dude a little bit, like 3 turns faster. But if you don't gift them a card, then you have 3 stun counters on the guy you just took control of.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, this card seems sick.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very good.
yeah, if it's just a removal spell, that's good enough. This is mind control on
Right.
top of that,
Mhm.
right? Like,
It's pretty cheap for that effect.
And this
too.
would be a scenario that you would maybe gift them the card, right? Like,
depending on the board
Depends on
state.
the- yeah,
Yeah.
that it's almost like it makes it more flexible in a way.
yeah, it does.
It is strict
And also,
upside,
like,
yeah.
can accelerate. Like, if it accelerates your clock significantly, it's probably worth it, right?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's like one of the things, like you give them a card, they have to kill their own thing, like, or they lose. Who cares? You know what I mean? But
It seems pretty good.
I feel like it's one of those things where new players are always going to do it and they're going to get punished heavily.
Cool.
I think
they
new
will
players will
learn real
lean
fast.
either
I think
way.
they're
They'll
gonna
like
lean, yeah.
always do it or they'll never do it.
They'll
And
be
they'll,
super cautious about
But
it.
then
I
it's
think.
like the middle of the bell curve is going to be the people who never do it.
yeah.
yeah.
And then good players will do it some percentage of the time, but probably not that much.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's probably okay though.
Like, just in general, like, let's say you have murder. Would you gift them a 1/1 to draw a card every time you cast murder?
Yeah.
Like, not every time, but like the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Especially a tapped 1/1. Yeah,
Probably.
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely scenarios where you
Yeah.
would make this trade, right? Like, you just have to make sure whatever you're getting out of the gift, like out of the gifting, is better than what you're giving up, right?
Yeah.
And also that you have time to really use that advantage, right?
Right.
If it's like you drawing the card effectively, right?
Right. But yeah, I think this might lead to some like these 2 mechanics alone are going to lead to some like decision paralysis and
These are
especially after
super
pre-releases.
skill testing mechanics. Yeah.
Oh man, that pre-release is going to get longer
Like,
and
'cause
longer.
people are gonna tank about whether they want to gift,
Yeah.
and people are gonna tank about whether they want to play this now or wait till they can offspring, right? So, but I mean, I like decisions. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So
I don't like the games where it's like, well, I've got 1, 2, 3. If this wins, I win. If I lose, I lose. Right? I much prefer the long, grindy mid-range where you have a whole bunch of decisions and like a million targets and what are you attacking with, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
hopefully the set leans into that because it looks like the mechanics do.
Yep. Here's another one. Let's see how we feel about this one. It's called Parting Gust. Double white for an instant. Gift a tapped fish. You may promise your opponent a gift as you cast a spell. If you do, they create a 1/1 tapped blue fish before its other effects. Exile target non-token creature. If the gift wasn't promised, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. So you can bounce something or you can
blink
exile
something.
something.
That seems pretty fun. That's kind of cool because it's modal in so many
Yeah.
different ways there.
Yeah.
Is it an
Very
instant?
flexible.
Yes.
Yes.
Double
Yeah.
white for an instant.
Yes.
So you can like dodge removal with that too. So there is some nice modality there.
Mhm.
That's for sure.
Yeah, they're almost like seeming like split cards almost. Almost like the spree is what it reminds me
Yeah.
of the most.
Like generally, at least in the past, cards that like killed your opponent but gave them something were like kind of the bottom of the barrel removal, right?
Oh, yeah.
And now like removal's kind of worse because like cards are like so efficient, right? So it's like something like this really going to be playable like as removal, like double white blink. That's a hard sell for me to be like sure, because like I mean like +1/+1 lifelink indestructible is good, but like even that's like kind of a hard sell to get into some decks, right? So this being like a bad removal and a bad blink, like
The only thing I'd say, I think I would agree with you. I think this is probably a C- kind of D level card.
yeah, for sure.
But I want to say green and blue is the flicker of this set, right? This is a double white flicker. It's like it kind of goes in that, but it's mana pip intensive, and I don't even think that's the theme for white. I haven't looked at all the archetypes, but I have seen a lot of green blue cards that are all about flickering and bouncing.
yeah, the mana pip intensive thing is like kind of a big deal, but with a card like this, it's often such a late card. Like it's like a turn 6/7 play, right?
Anytime you can't hold this up and they try to kill your thing is backbreaking,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Like you really want to be holding this up so that you actually have a chance to use it to just like save your thing from removal, right? Because using that as removal is not a very good card.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Amen.
All right, next up we have Forage. So Forage is a new mechanic that is kind of like collect evidence. I'll just read this card. Osteomancer Adept. It's a 1 in a black for a 2/2 Squirrel Warlock with Death Touch. And you can tap it until end of the turn. You may cast creature spells from your graveyard by foraging in addition to paying their other costs. If you cast a spell this way, it enters with a finality counter. Remember, that's the thing that if it ever leaves the battlefield, it's exiled.
Yeah, forever.
If it dies.
If it dies.
You can blink it to remove them because
You're
blinking is a theme.
Yeah. If it dies, you would exile it. You're right. But anyway, to forage, you can exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food.
On all of them?
On all forage, yeah.
Wow.
What a weird nonsense mechanic. What a weird, confusing
What are just
thing.
like a opposite of choices. Right?
yeah, like
But like it seems insane. Like every
Yeah.
food gets me like something for sure besides
Yeah.
3 life. That's kind of good.
food's kind of always good.
Creatures making food in this set is going
Except
to give you a
Bloomburrow.
lot of value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
food was already good. Like, the random like efficient body that made you a food for later,
Mhm.
right? That was always good. In terms of sometimes getting like a random full card's worth of value out of sacrificing a
Right.
food is
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
genuinely.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
foods will be significantly better than clues if forage is like widespread.
Oh
Right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Just
Because,
based off
like-
not having to pay the mana potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want to use my mana to get my cards in play, not to, randomly draw a card later.
And like also just like removing 3 cards from your graveyard doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
Especially if we get some
Like
more
once or
graveyard
twice.
enablers that come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 cards is not a lot.
Right.
And it's an unrestricted kind of thing. And the collect evidence, it was a little tougher because you had to make sure their mana costs go. This is closer to like Delve, right?
Yeah.
Like
Closer,
this is in
yeah.
that kind of vein. It's kind of cool that like now we're getting Delve modality. Like you're able
Modal delve,
yeah, it's like a modal delve.
yeah.
It's like, okay, well, if you don't have the cards there, if you have a food, you can do that,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that's not too bad.
Right.
I also think graveyard decks are going to be a real thing in this format because I remember there was
There's,
an
like,
uncommon
threshold
spoiled,
Mhm.
and it was a 7 mana, I want to say 5/5 with Menace and Death Touch, but it costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard or exile. So even if you get rid of them. And this is a Menace Death Touch at uncommon, mind you. And then you can play for like 3 mana pretty easily. Like people are talking about this for construct, and it's a random uncommon,
Yeah.
and it's way better unlimited, right?
Jeez.
Like, I think graveyards, just based off seeing that card, is probably going to be a real thing.
Yeah. That's cool. Miss graveyard stuff mattering. Like
Amen.
actually mattering.
Me too.
Yeah.
With an uncommon payoff that good, if the enablers are good at all, it's going to be a deck.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think like foraging will be something that almost every deck will be interested in. Because like exiling 3 cards from your graveyard is not that big of a deal if you can't even make food. Like maybe you don't want a ton of forage stuff, but like you could throw 1 or 2 in any deck. I feel like 3 cards is nothing.
Mhm.
One thing I will say, I didn't realize that you have to pay their mana cost too whenever you cast them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, it's busted. It's not completely busted, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm really bad at paying attention to that, right?
Yeah, like if you get a 4H scroll ultimatum on turn 2, that'd be insane.
That would be insane.
Right?
If
Like,
you could just
it'd be
go
almost
for it.
impossible to win a game like
Yeah,
that
for
if
sure.
your opponent did that to you.
Backbreaking, sacrificing the creature.
Like, they're like, yeah, I can
Oh,
just cast this
wow.
for free. And you're just like, okay.
It resolves.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Especially when you can tell, like, they've been having a tough week.
Got him. Alright, so what's our next mechanic?
Valiant.
This is a Ryan mechanic that he's going to say is
Valiant.
very good.
Sounds aggressive.
So, Valiant is a new ability word that highlights triggered abilities that trigger whenever the creature becomes a target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn. So here we have Seedglaive Mentor. This is 1 red-white for an uncommon mouse soldier. It's a 3/2 with vigilance and haste. As Valiant, whenever it becomes a target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, put a 1/1 counter on it.
Ooh,
That is a very solidly statted aggressive card.
yikes.
I play 2 mana 3/2 Vigilance Haste in all my aggressive decks every time.
What about ones that grow?
Seems good.
Man.
But this requires you to play things that target it.
It depends on the
Very,
quality of combat
very
tricks, but
easy.
like I saw there's a combat trick in this set. It's 1 and a green, and it gives +3/+3, trample, hexproof, and indestructible.
Is this a common?
Uncommon.
Oh, okay.
But that is the quality of combat tricks that we're seeing in this
It's
set.
not just combat tricks, abilities
Abilities,
too.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
your
that's true.
equipment are going to be.
I did see like
Wow.
abilities that are like target non-flyer gets +1/+1, right? Like that card with this would just be insane. Like
Imagine just like throwing your bone saw around.
it's like whenever you attack,
They
target.
better not have a bone saw in this set with Valiant. I do not need Nadu in limited.
Like that's almost what it feels like to me. Like if you're just like throwing your bone saw around your 5 Valiant creatures.
Watch them
That's
reprint
crazy.
Shuko in the special guest slot to drive prices down. Am I saying wizards are greedy bastards? I don't know.
And then it would be so awesome to get Shuko'd in draft. That would be so sick.
Okay, I'll trigger Valiant here, trigger
Oh,
Valiant
yeah.
over here, trigger it on this guy.
I think that equipment is probably like the most busted thing you can do with it. Cause like you can like recur that. You can just do that every turn. It's not like taking a card out of your hand every turn. Like you just, it's going to lead to some really,
Have we seen any equipment in the set?
we haven't, we don't even know if there are any.
I
I'm
would
sure there would be.
I would hope to like that the design space has thought of this and made reasonable equip costs.
Yeah.
So you can't just machine gun these.
Imagine how annoying of a board that would be. Like your opponent's like, all right, let me equip this equipment to this guy. Okay, now let me equip it to this other guy and just do that 5 times before they attack, right?
I
But
think
just
most
the-
of the Valiant's just once each turn. I think that's part of the mechanic.
Once
right?
each turn, isn't it per creature?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had a bunch of Valiant creatures.
That's what I mean.
But like,
surely you could get like a critical
at least my
mass of
understanding
these.
is most of the Valiant creatures are more aggressive.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's mostly a Boros. I think it might be in some other colors. But if I remember right, I was seeing it mostly on the red-white creatures. And they tended to be more aggressively statted. You know, you're getting like aggressive attacks.
Valiant is going to make Ryan so happy.
I hope so.
It's gonna make me happy because I like doing degenerate equipment stuff.
But you don't
I
like
love equipment.
aggro.
I love equipment though.
He's going to be the person building red-white late game control, Valiant triggers for value.
See,
I'll
And
never
that-
attack
that's
with
why-
1/1 with Valiant. I'm just going to grow it till it gets to
I
10/10.
love it whenever you're able to play like an aggressive color, like Rakdos and Outlaws is like a super late game dirtily do nothing, just make a billion 1/1s. That's so fun to me.
that's why I like raiding the cards with Roby, because hearing what he calls aggro cards is equivalent to watching an episode of Jerry Springer to me. Like my jaw is just on the floor the entire time. What?
Valiant's a good aggro mechanically.
I'm not confident Roby knows what the word aggro means.
Yeah.
When was the
man.
last time you drafted a deck that won within turn 10, Roby? I'm curious. You have to think about it. That
It's
says a lot.
usually-
Damn,
it's
that's
usually-
bad. Doesn't bode
Actually, I
well.
was extremely aggressive tonight, but yeah.
Casting turn 3 Cruel Ultimate.
I won a turn 5. I won a turn 5 game today
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
with yeah.
With Cruel Ultimatum?
No, with the 3-mana pump spell on my 3
Oh, yeah.
prickly pairs that I took very early.
I remember.
You're running anthems now. Who even are you?
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
man.
What happened to Roby?
I
That's the
know.
only one he likes.
I was getting hated out of doing degenerate stuff. But what's our next one?
Valley or expend. So
This is a weird one.
expend seems to me like it's going to be sick, but it's this is Junk Blade Bruiser, 3 and 2 hybrid red or green. So 5 mana Racoon Berserker. That's
Sick
a-
creature type.
4/5 with
Right.
trample. And whenever you expend 4, it gets +2/+1 until end of turn. You expend 4 as you spend your 4th total mana to cast spells during a turn. So you just expend when you have 4 mana most of the time. Like when you spend your 4th mana, like you have to cast spells
What
worth
a
of 4 mana.
janky mechanic.
But this feels to me is such a free roll. If you are playing
Yeah.
Magic, you are spending your mana. The one thing I
Right.
don't like about this is like you get in a top deck war and you both have some expend creatures. It makes the person top decking the first real threat like infinitely more advantage than normal, right?
I
Because
wonder if
not only
that's
do
what
they
it's for. It's
find
like
the threat.
break grindy boards.
The thing I don't necessarily like about it is that it's only for casting spells during a turn, and I feel like that's going to lead to some confusion as opposed to just spending 4 mana. So like, you know, if you did like what Roby was saying earlier, equipped an equipment a
Yeah.
bunch of times,
Yeah.
you would expend 4 mana, but none of that 4 mana counts towards your
casting
expend meter.
spell. You have to have like a storm counter almost like
mean-
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really annoying.
It's like fairly easy to track, though.
It
it
is, but
is for sure.
I'm
but-
sure there will be some confusion like among
I
people.
guarantee at one of my pre-release matches, someone is going to tap their lands in combat and be like, I expended 4. And I'm going to be like, you got to cast a spell.
And like I would bet that someone would say, okay, I equip this for 2, then I cast a 2/2 for 2. I spent my 4th total mana on casting a spell, but like that's not how it works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
you have to cast 4 mana worth of spells.
Yep.
So
Which that'd count things like Offspring. That still counts as mana
Yeah.
you're spending for the spell, right?
Yeah.
But you do have to actually cast spells with it.
yes, you can't just like equip something and play a 2-drop, and then you're like, okay, I expended 4, but like no, you didn't. He's like,
Yeah.
but I did this first, but like that doesn't matter.
There's like 8 paragraphs of text underneath the expend mechanic just to explain how it works, which is so ridiculous. This is by far like the jankiest, most annoying, confusing, bad mechanic I think of the set so far.
This is going to be one of those snowbally things, like you were saying earlier, where if you're already ahead, it's probably going to put you even more ahead as you're top decking.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm a little concerned about with it. Because like I do like that it's like super. I mean, I'm not sure I like it, but like it's easy to enable, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna put these
Yes.
cards in your deck every time, you don't need to build around them at all,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But in terms of like the top deck side of things, I don't know.
5 mana 6/6 is like okay, but
I
it
mean,
has trample.
the
Yeah.
commons and uncommons in this set, just like the
That's
vanilla
just a
ones.
common, right?
There's
Like,
a Colossal Dreadmaw is dead. We have a 6 mana 6/6 Flash Vigilance Reach Trample
it's
in
a
green
common.
at uncommon.
Uncommon. Yeah.
Uncommon though, yeah.
And in red, it's a 5 mana 5/5 Trample Reach Haste, I want to say. It might be a 6/6. Don't quote me on that. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like the vanilla creatures, quote unquote,
Yeah.
they are very, very aggressively statted and keyworded.
Very good. And I will say another thing about the expend 4 is like if you play a card with expend and it costs more than 4, you can never trigger that card's expend like on that turn. That's what this says.
Okay.
It says
Because you've already spent your 4
Yeah,
mana.
no, that would make some degree of sense.
Yeah.
the permanent with the ability needs to be on the battlefield to see you spend the mana. Notably, if you spend 5 mana to cast the Junk Blade Bruiser itself, its ability won't see that. By the time it's on the battlefield, you're spending at best your 6th mana to cast spells that turn.
Yep.
So the ability will have to wait until next turn to trigger.
Oh, that's
That makes
weird. So if you're like
Yeah.
on nine mana,
Mhm.
But if you have like a 3 mana one, you could like play that and then play something else, and then it would
I'm
see
sure
your
they
foot.
probably don't have that, right? Just for that
Probably
reason.
do. They
Yeah.
probably do.
I'm
Huh.
sure there's got to be something like that. It's kind of like those when you've drawn your second card. For
It
the
is
turn.
very similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been not as impressed with that mechanic in the last set.
It
It could have
it was
just
just
been
in,
the
like-
cards were bad, but
Yeah,
like,
it was not well supported. Like it just couldn't deal.
I think
That just couldn't keep up with Prickly Pear. Like
yeah. I have a
or
feeling.
a 5/4 for 4. So
yeah.
What's our next mechanic? Right?
our last one, and it's not really a mechanic. I've only seen it on this Mythic Cycle of Rares. It's called. They are naming it Paw Print Season.
Oh,
this is so
God.
stupid.
Yeah. It's just like a modal card. So this one is called Season of Leaving. I think this is the worst one because I read all 5 of the
Yeah,
Mythic
they're all
ones.
pretty. Some of them are really
They're
good.
pretty stupid.
Yeah.
This one is 4 double blue for sorcery, and you may choose up to 5 paws worth of modes. You may choose the same mode more than once. First paw, for only 1 paw,
Oh man.
low price of 1 paw, draw a card.
I'd pay 1 paw for that any day.
Yeah, that's a paw.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're going to Chuck E. Cheese and you just won 5 tickets. And you got to
Oh,
spin your
yeah.
tickets.
Oh man.
6 mana draw 5 is sick.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Next one, 2 paws. This one costs 2 paws. Choose an artifact or creature.
I already hate this mechanic.
Choose an artifact or creature you control. Create a token that's a copy of it. Could be sick. Could be better than
Notably,
even drawing 2 cards.
This doesn't target. They can't blow it out with removal. It says choose and.
Oh.
Jeez.
So they cannot be like, I kill it in response. You kill what?
Yep.
already chose.
Yeah.
Ah
They
man.
can kill it with it on the stack, right?
They could prevent you from copying your best thing, but then you copy something worse with it.
Yeah, they could prevent you from resolving it, but you don't even have to choose until it's resolved.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third one is, or for 3 paws, sorry, not the third one.
Oh.
3 paws.
Mm-hmm.
Return each non-land, non-token permanent to its owner's
Oh,
hand.
that's each. Oh wow.
Each.
Oh wow. I didn't know
Including
see
yours.
that at first. Yeah.
But not the token you just made.
And you can, yeah.
Non-token,
It resolves
yeah.
in order,
Yeah.
mind you. So you'd get your token first, then bounce it all.
Well, it says non-token permanent.
Yeah, right. So you make the token with the 2 paws. You got 3 paws left over.
So even if you had a bunch of tokens,
So-
like,
Yeah.
it would be good.
Yeah.
You, notably, all the tokens stay. You draw a card, copy your best thing, bounce all their stuff.
Yep.
Well, you can't do all 3 of them.
Oh, is it only
That would
5?
be 6
It'd be
paws.
6.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
my bad.
Too many
My
paws.
bad.
Too
I
many paws.
exceeded the paw budget.
I wish they had things that interacted that gave you extra paws.
Can I
like
proliferate my
energy.
paws? I'm begging you. I
That would
need
be
more
hilarious.
paws.
Need more paws. Do you just get the paws, or you have
get
to? You
Up
get,
to 5 paws worth of modes.
And you have to choose the modes when you're casting it.
oh, okay. So they're not like it's not like energy where you can store up
No.
your paws for
No.
later.
I want to store my
I
paws.
need more paws. I need paw tokens.
Give
Like,
Give
are
me
they
a
gonna-
paw counter, wizard.
You know, it's like lists. There's like, make your favorite basketball team. You have $15. That's this.
Oh, okay. I like that.
That's what this
Yeah,
is.
I want to be able to store them. Yeah, for sure.
But all those cards seem sick. The thing
I'm
I like,
gonna start a petition on change.org.
I mean, this one's obviously like super good, right? Drawing 5 cards for
Yeah.
6 is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah,
Like, and that's the floor. The floor is draw 5 cards.
yeah,
Insane.
which is insane.
The other ones, I felt like the 2 and the 3 modes really work together a lot better than this one does. Like creating a token and bouncing everything is still good, and it works together some, but like not as good as the other ones. I feel like.
Yeah, the green one, I think, has the potential to draw even more cards than the blue one. Because if I remember right, at its floor, that one, its 3 paws mode is to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control.
Hmm.
And if I remember right, the 2 paws mode like puts counters on a creature.
I got it right here. Let's just look
Sweet.
at all of them. So the green one is 4 green for sorcery. Choose up to 5 paws worth of modes. You may choose the same mode more than once. 1 paw, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. It gains vigilance and trample until end of turn. So you can do that 5 times. It's like overrun. 2 paws, choose artifact or enchantment. Destroy all permanents of the chosen type. 3 paws, draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control.
Gosh.
So what we can do with that one at a floor is we put 2 counters on our biggest creature and then draw cards equal to its power.
Yep.
So we're always getting 2 counters and then 3 cards if we have a 1/1.
Yep.
All right. If we have a 4/4, we're drawing 6. All right. Getting 2 counters, drawing 6.
Yep.
Not to mention we have this overrun modality.
Mhm.
There's a lot of artifacts with random foods running around. There's some
Exactly.
other random artifacts. Just wipe all those out of
Man,
nowhere.
I love these cards destroy all artifacts in play.
Yeah.
You-
that's what you do.
it's my weakness.
Bombs.
It's literally my weakness. I called it a bomb.
Bombs.
Yeah.
I can't believe the white one. You can make 5.
I'm trying to find the other ones.
Yeah, so the white one, the first pot is to make a 1/1.
1/1 white rabbit creature token. The second one is exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card. The 3 pause is return a target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. It's currently $48.
I don't know why we're putting limited only cards with like indestructible.
It's
Yeah,
super
it's so
bad.
harsh.
It's
Yeah.
so obnoxious. It
Yeah.
randomly lets you steal games. It's like, if you remember Lord of the Rings, remember playing against Arwen? Green was the worst, but then they randomly play an Arwen, and you can just never attack them ever again. And it's like, what are we doing? And then this does that, or you can make some 1/1s with it. Like, yeah. I do
Thankfully,
not
it's
like-
mythic, you know?
Yeah.
At least we won't be playing against it every game like with
Exactly.
Writhing Chrysalis.
Yeah.
This is
Oh, my
accurate.
gosh,
Yes,
yeah.
that is
Oof.
true. This card is almost as good as Writhing Chrysalis. it makes about
Okay, but this isn't a standard set,
yes.
notably,
That's
Are
right?
you guys ready for the black one?
Yeah.
3 double black. So this one only costs 5.
Okay.
Still get 5 balls.
So did the
Value. That's
5
some
mana
value.
for 5 paws.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
That's a
any day.
discount on
That's
pause.
pretty good. That's pretty good value.
I like my
Paw
paw
value.
the white one was also 5 mana. So,
First paw, each player sacrifices a creature. So it's a board wipe, basically.
5 creatures.
5 creatures.
Your
each.
5 paws? Ooh.
5 creatures, 5 paws. Second, draw a card for 2 paws, draw a card for each creature you control that died this turn. So you can make them sack. We can both sack 3. I can draw 3 cards, right?
Which
Wait.
is a board wipe against a lot of decks. Like sometimes you're wider than 3, don't get me wrong. But against any go big deck, wipe your board, I'm drawing cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And then 3 mana, or for 3 paws, each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of creatures in your graveyard.
Ooh.
so you'll randomly win with that. I don't think you'll choose that mode very often. But when you do, you will win the game
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
on the spot. Because you'll sacrifice 2 creatures, burn them out.
Yep.
Right?
Man,
Yep. Maybe even after combat.
that's
Yeah.
Maybe.
Suicide all your guys and then just...
Oh, yep. Any 2 that I have left.
I think that's my favorite one as far as for limited goes. I think that's
I feel like it's the one that's going to feel the biggest brain.
oof.
I kind of feel like the sack thing with all the offspring stuff running around and like tokens probably being like a pretty big, like gifting fishes and all this. Like, I think it may not be as close to a board wipe as we think it will against some decks.
That's true. But
Mhm.
if you're that deck and you're not
Right.
sacking your whole board,
Right.
Mhm.
you've won.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
And you know you have this, you can build and play around this.
Right.
I think you're going to come out significantly ahead far more often than not.
All right. Red one, Season of the Bold, 3 and double red. 1 paw, create a tapped treasure token. 2 paws, exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play them. 3 paws, until the end of your next turn. Whenever you cast a spell, deals 2 damage to up to 1 target creature.
So at a minimum, we can impulse draw 2 and make all our spells Flame Tongue Kavus at home.
Yep.
Seems pretty good.
Sick.
But like
Yeah,
this
that's-
one's floor to me is like creating tap treasures seems bad.
The tap
You're never
treasures
doing that,
really
I don't
hurts that.
think.
Yeah.
I do think there will be some times where you're better off just exiling 4 cards and making a treasure,
That makes sense.
but
It's until your next turn that it gives
Yeah.
the ping ability, right?
Oh,
yeah.
it's until your next turn?
So
until
that
the
means-
end of your next turn.
That means it's not just those cards you exile that you can ping off of, right?
Right. It's
Okay.
any card you cast.
That's not as bad. I thought it was just until the end of turn. I didn't
No,
realize
until the end of your next turn.
So you draw the cards until the end of your next turn, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Impulse draw, but it's pretty good impulse draw. It's
That's
burning
pretty
rush draw,
good.
yeah.
That's pretty good. It's pretty
And
good.
then also the 2 damage, and it's anywhere, right? You can go face with this.
No, up to 1 target creature.
Only creatures. Okay.
If you go face, it would be broken.
So you take 1 full turn off to do something really cool the next turn.
Yep.
Which it's a bit of an ask.
That's what I was thinking too, especially in limited and constructed. Like that's a whole different monster. There.
I mean,
That
like if
that's
you're
like,
in
I'm
that
gonna win the
aggro
next turn.
deck, right?
yeah,
And you have pressured them as you should, and now it's turn 5 or 6. I think
Mhm.
that's like fine. It's
I mean,
like
how much gas do you
significant
have
reach.
at that point then, though, right?
That's why you're exiling 2 cards.
Yeah, but like let's say you hit lands and you chose that mode and you don't have many cards in hand. You just cast 5 mana, do nothing, right?
That's true.
Like
Maybe you're supposed to exile 4.
I think you just make a tap treasure, exile 4, and try to push it.
I think if you don't have cards in hand, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. If you're an aggro deck, of course.
But if you can like set up a combo turn, you'll win. All right.
I do see scenarios where you'll be like 3 and just make 2 treasures too, because like I can just pop off with what I already have.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I think the treasures are definitely tapped for constructed reasons.
I think so too.
Because otherwise, you reduce this cost a couple times with some ruby medallions, make a million treasures.
Yes.
I hope there's a way to
Speaking my
copy.
language.
Hope there's a way to copy a spell in this set, because like copying one of these would be
So cool.
broken.
Can you imagine
Broken.
getting 10 paws?
Yeah, no. No.
That's too many paws.
That's way too many paws.
5 paws is enough for me.
My friend Jim one time, 12 paws.
12 paws?
He got him.
Wow.
Is he still with us?
He didn't know what to do with all those paws.
I know what to do with all those paws.
So everyone thinks, young man. So everyone thinks. Paws don't equal happiness.
I'm looking through these spoilers real quick. I just gotta say that they have 1 in a black destroy target creature.
Fell. Yeah.
That's wild.
Sorcery.
It's sorcery.
Notably.
It's
Thank
sorcery.
goodness.
Very, very notably.
That's it's like getting outrageous.
Yeah, I think I was talking about that with somebody before the tournament started today.
That's wild.
And I said, wow, I mean, we're really creeping up on some interesting territory now when that's just like an uncommon.
It's an
I mean,
uncommon.
In a lot of ways, that's like worse than go for the throat, though.
Kind of.
Right? Like, not always, don't get me wrong, but in terms of like, if I had to choose one to have in my deck, I think I'm choosing the instant speed conditional a lot of the time.
Not in that format where go for the throat was. Right?
I mean, in that
If
particular
Brothers
format,
War,
maybe
probably
not, because there was like so many artifacts, and the artifact deck was one of the best decks.
Yep.
Right? But I think overall, like the very minor condition, like what is it, power word kill? You know, destroy target non-angel, non-demon, non-devil, non-dragon creature. It's like
Yeah.
destroy target creature. I didn't say speed the
Basically.
majority of the time.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
Like,
So the sorcerer hurt it that bad?
I mean, I'm going to play it on every black deck I have.
Oh,
Me
okay.
too,
Not
yeah.
get me wrong.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just saying, I think people are overestimating how pushed this is.
Would you
It
play
just looks crazy on the surface.
It does.
right? Like,
And
it
it's a very
seems
clean
wild.
design, and I think that kind of like actually accentuates it here.
Makes it
Because it's like
scarier.
so simple to understand that you're like, oh, it just kills it every
And it's
time.
just
Every
got
time,
a spooky
yeah.
looking owl on it. It's gonna haunt my dreams for sure.
Bro, this common is sick.
Which one?
2 mana, 1 in a red for a 2/1. Offspring 2. When it dies, 1 face.
That is pretty sick.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah.
Like that goblin.
What was the, it was the guy who made a 2/2 and another 2/2? Or he was a 4 cost, but he made a 2/2 when he came into play. And he's a 2
Person of
himself.
interest.
Person of interest, yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Playing
In that kind of
Moses
vein.
Carlo.
But man, that's a lot of damage. As an aggro player, I'm sure that's a
Hope it's good enough.
good one.
The one,
Also, this buff, Might of the Meek, 1 mana instant for a red. Target creature gets trample until end of turn. It also gets +1/+0 if you control a mouse. Draw a card.
notably, triggers Valiant.
Yeah.
That card
Sick.
is going to be a role player in those decks.
Yeah.
It is just one of your best enablers. It will always blow them out. It'll give you sneaky lethal, and it says draw a card.
Yeah, it's a cantrip.
Gross. Yeah, that's very good.
Yep.
Yeah, so how do we feel about Bloomburrow so far? Looks sick.
All I know is I am going to be offspringing my Bob every time, and you cannot stop me, and I don't care if it kills me.
Well, I think this may be the cutest set in Magic ever.
Yeah, I
That-
like it. I like it.
The
artwork
arts
is
are,
It's
yeah.
so nice.
Adorbs,
Yeah.
bruh. Yeah, I like all these crazy creature types. Lots of warlocks too for mercenaries.
And there's a lot of random bats going around.
Yeah, bats. There's like
It's one of the supported tribes.
and like rats. Is there some rats in here?
Yeah,
I
there's
need some
bats,
in here.
rats, mice, and I want to say squirrels.
Squirrels, yeah.
There is a rat lord.
I just want
instead
goblins and
right now.
skeletons. That's all I want. Is that too hard? When's the last
That's
time we
lame.
got good
That's
old
lame.
goblins and skeletons?
That's lame.
Huh? We haven't got that in forever.
We
getting-
have a
There's a-
sick rat.
We're
There's
getting
a set
weasel
coming out.
soldiers. Shut up.
Ryan, there's going to be a set for you. It's called Foundations.
Thank you.
And it's going to be your old school Magic as if Magic was done today.
I hope we draft that a bunch. That seems cool.
Is that a draftable set?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a draft.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
didn't realize it was draftable.
Yeah.
legal and standard for what, the next 5 years?
years.
Yeah.
So it would be worth our time to draft it because we'd have a core base for standard for 5 years.
I thought that was just the standard stuff, but if that's draftable, that's awesome.
Yeah. I hope it is. I think that would be really fun to draft. Go back to the. Hopefully, there's no bonus sheets or none of that stuff.
Tell us how you really feel about it.
I mean, I don't mind bonus sheets, but in that set specifically,
It would feel so out of place.
yeah. Like I did like core drafts.
I liked it when they had kind of like busted, ridiculous stuff in core sets, though. Like
yeah, but
Crucible
they did the
Worlds?
core set every year, and then the mythics would be like kind of insane, right?
Yeah, like Crucible Worlds. Was in
Yeah,
there
or like
at
they
one
had
time.
like I remember when like Planeswalkers first came out, they were in a core set, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Sublime Epiphany was in one of the last,
Oh.
which is
Wait,
like
Titans, didn't the Titans
Yep,
come from a core
Titans
set? Core
wait,
set?
are you telling me Sublime Epiphany was draftable?
I drafted it, and it was probably like the most disgusting crime against
As
humanity.
someone who's played that in Cube, yeah,
it's so good.
Very strong.
I
it's
once
so
got
good.
every mode, and I felt like a god.
I had a moment in time where my opponent sacked their 2/2 wall to draw a card, and I countered that ability. They're like, "Are you kidding me? It's my 0/2 wall." Like, made a copy of my guy, did like 20 things, and obviously, if you get Sublime Epiphany, you're just gonna abuse the living daylights out of it by getting it back and infinitely doing disgusting stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing.
But Bloomburrow, I'm all for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of new people coming into the game, which is going to be really fun for that. A lot of cute artwork.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
It's cool.
it's going to
Good
be a win.
vibes.
It's
Yeah,
going to be a
it'll
win.
be fun.
And
It'll be
people, I always feel like these tribal kind of sets are always kind of fun too. When you
Yeah.
get these new tribes that you don't really get to play with, and it's like, okay, cool, my mice matter now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be playing Tribal Paws.
You can't handle it, Joel. I'm telling you, this is a cliff you don't want to dive off of, brother.
That's what you think, old man.
Ryan knew somebody who had 12 paws.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
He knows.
Notice he said
from
new,
yeah.
not knows.
Yeah.
Wait, is there Jace the Mind Sculptor and a
As a little cute
It's collector.
creature.
collector?
Oh my gosh, I was gonna say if that's in the bonus sheet and I have to play against that in sealed, I swear to God.
Chase the Mind Sculptor was not that good in draft.
Okay, in sealed.
What?
It wasn't.
They didn't know how to play with Jace the Mind Sculptor at that
wasn't.
point.
They didn't know how to brainstorm.
They didn't know how to. Oh, they did not know.
See, everyone falls into the trap of thinking there are 3 loyalty abilities.
Like, you guys are acting like it's Oko.
There's only
it's
one.
not even close.
Nah, it was pretty bad.
It's not close
It was
to Oko.
pretty bad.
Oko was like the most
Yeah,
disgusting.
Oko is by far the most oppressive. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Past
Like-
Minskin Boo. I think Minskin Boo is more oppressive.
Would you rather your
This game's pretty
opponent
bad.
plays a Calamity or a Jace the Mind Sculptor? It's not close. It's not close.
Calamity dies to removal. I can't fell
Yeah.
a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
You used to be able to. Back when Jace the Mind Sculptor was printed, there was cards that killed Planeswalkers.
They weren't very good, actually.
There's a
Like,
lot of red-based ones that could hit creatures or Planeswalkers.
There was a lot of, yeah, you'd have your, that was back when they were trying to figure out how to template that thing. It was like any
Yeah.
target. Okay, now it can hit like planeswalkers and creatures. It was a finesse kind of thing. It took a while before we finally got some cheap ones.
I remember when like players could be redirected to Planeswalkers too. Like you remember that?
Yeah, you'd have to redirect any spell
Like,
to them.
if it could target a player, it could target a Planeswalker. It was weird.
There's
Yeah,
some weird
I know.
erratas with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, they changed it.
Some
Yeah,
old
they did.
spells that technically can hit any target and some can only hit players or planeswalkers and some can,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah, it was interesting, man. When the planeswalkers came out in Lorwyn, I think it was, you get the first, like, that's when you got OG Jace, Garrick, that ended up getting banned at one point. It was really good. But, yeah.
Is it Garrick or is it Garuk?
Garuk. I think-
Okay.
I say Garrick.
It's Garrick.
It's Garrick, right?
I always call him
I
Garuk.
call it.
There's no way.
It's Garuk in my book.
It's Garuk.
Yeah.
It's
Look
Garuk.
at him. Just look at the guy.
His name
That's
is
a Garuk.
Garrick.
He looks like a Garrick.
That's
He's
Garuk.
Garrick.
It's
Yeah,
Garuk.
Garuk. Garuk.
Let us know. Let us know if
Yeah.
Garrick
it's
sounds like
Garuk
someone
or
who wears
Garrick.
Garrick or Garuk?
leather wrist cuffs. Garuk is way scarier than that.
Garrick wears a sweater vest to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for sure. And
This is
owns more
Garuk.
than one cardigan. He's Garuk. He's got a hood and he's scary.
All right.
Well, I think that's all the Bloomburrow talk we're up to this week. Let us know in the comments what your favorite mechanic is.
And how to pronounce Garuk.
That's
Yeah.
definitely we need to know. We need to know.
How many paws do you need?
More than 12.
More than 12.
We'll catch you boys on the flippity flop.
Yeah.
Bye. Joel, wait.
Fun ending.